Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff and welcome to the B-17 update. I can't remember what number update this is now, to be honest. We've done a few. What we're going to do is I'm going to tell you where I'm up to, talk you through any issues and things I've found in this particular build, and then we'll ask you how you're getting on. So, where am I? Well, I am just about finished with step 32 and 33 here, which is installing the glazing into the fuselage, and I'm in the middle of step 34, which is installing the internal parts. And when I say in the middle, I'm doing test fitting at this moment in time. So let me show you my fuselage interior. You can see I've got the glazing in. I've put that in with liquid poly. In the build diary, I'll explain how I do that and why I do that and why I've not used a canopy glue particularly. But they've gone into place lovely, really happy with those. Then what I've done is I've test fitted the internal parts, and I'll show you those in a minute. And what I found is that I had a fit problem here, which is this bulkhead here. Now, it's not a fit issue because there's an issue with the parts particularly, but there was a countersunk ejector pin, very, very small one, very similar to this one here. Don't know if you can see that, probably not. And it has a little raised lip around it. So scraping that out and scraping the paint out as well seemed to solve that problem pretty much. And when I put my two fuselage halves together, the fit is excellent. But when you put the internal parts in, then you get some pressure points. And the pressure point is around where this bulkhead is. So you get a little bit of a gap at the bottom or at the top, whichever way you want to go. So scraping the paint out is really helping there. And it's also quite tight here as well. So what I'm planning to do on this assembly here is just sand this surface and take the paint off and make sure it's all nice and flush, so that the fuselage halves close in nicely above them, because they're not doing it at the moment. So where am I with the build then? Well, let's talk you through that. So I've got the glazing in one half of this. The other glazing I've got to do. I'll be doing that when I've finished doing this little update. Yeah, so this is all done. The reason I've not put the glazing in this side is I've got to still go back and finish off putting the wash in this bit here and this bit here, and I don't want any splashes or anything going onto the glazing, so I need that done and dried. So as soon as I've finished my update, we're going to do that, let that dry for an hour or so, and then come and put our glazing in place, and then we're good to go. We can put the internals in, and that's the point where we're calling that halfway. I'm sure it's not halfway in the build actually, but that's the point where I'm going to take some photographs ready for our midpoint in the group build, and the little video we do. So don't forget, when you get to the point where you've got your insides installed, you want to take some photographs before you close the fuselage up so you can send them to me. So I'll be requesting you send them to me by email. I'll explain that at the time. Please don't send them now. If you send them too early, I'll forget about them, I'll lose them, and they might not get included. Whereas when I say, right, send me your photographs, I can look out for them. So that I've had no issues so far with putting all of this together. The Bombay is a little bit fiddly, but it goes together quite easily. I'm not going to. A number of people have been talking about those little hand ropes. They should be not clear to me whether they should be a natural sort of hemp colour or yellow. They're often yellow in the photographs, but that's on museum aircraft, and that might have been done for health and safety for people walking across. So I think you could go either way, and that's personal choice. But this is all built up and it looks really nice. And we've got this bulkhead into place now. A little tip, when you're gluing this bulkhead in, just fit it into your fuselage so you make sure that bulkhead is nice and square, because there's some wiggle in it. And our seats are in as well, so that all looks good, and it sort of comes together, that fits there, and all looks good. And then what we've done, taking the advice from people and the reference pictures that were sent to me, we've put the base colour down on our wood floors and shelf there, ready for doing some wood graining, which I will then show you. So in the next update, that'll have been done. In fact, you probably find the fuselage halves would be together by the next update. So I can show you what all this looks like fitted together. So if you're building this Airfix kit, I can assure you the fit is lovely. So we can slide that in there like that, and that just gently drops into place, and then you can push it down and get it nice and square, and the fit is gorgeous. Okay, the most tricky bit when you come to install the insides is this next bit. So if I show you, underneath this floor we've got this little shark's fin, and that locates in this point here, and you have to put that in first. If you try and put the bulkhead, you naturally want to line the bulkhead up first, then you can't raise the floor above these lips. So you're not doing that first. So you're putting that in first, then fitting your bulkhead in place. So we get that above those mounting points, and the fit is quite tight. You've got a little lump here that the bulkhead has to get behind, and that can be tricky. So get your bulkhead behind it, and then get your floor pan into place, and then everything else should click into place then. So at the back here you've got a little tab that it sits under, and yeah, that goes in nicely like that and sits there really nicely. The fit is nice and tight. In fact, at this point here it's slightly too tight. So you might end up sanding that bulkhead down yet. Don't know for sure. And then this will end up fitting into there in some way. I don't know. What's bothering me a little bit though is this open door. I'm just going to take that out because looks like I've loosened my bulkhead, so we'll go back and glue that in a sec. What's bothering me a little bit though is this area here, which I haven't painted as yet, and if I put my fuselage halves together like so, there's a lot of glazing at this front end, and what's bothering me is you can see through the door, and you can see the plastic. So that is bothering me. So I'm not sure what I want to do. Do I want to paint the plastic black so it sort of disappears in there? There's nothing on the instructions telling you to paint that at all. So if you just follow the instructions, you're going to end up seeing the plastic. And you know, if you think about it, I always think I never show my models. I never put them up into competition, but I often think about how competition models are judged. And if you can see in and you can see plastic or an unfinished surface, you get marked down for that. So that's sort of the way I think. Am I going to get marked down for that? Yes, I am. Then I'm not going to do it. So you can see the fit's great. The fit's great. So that's bothering me. So my thought process, let's just take this back off. There we go. My thought process is to go one of two ways. The easiest, the simplest solution, and probably the way I'm going to go, is just to paint this interior area, brush paint it black, as flat a black as I've got to just make it disappear. The other thing you could do is you could scratch build a door and put the door in. I don't think it's adding anything that empty in terms of light or anything like that. So my thought process is you could put a bit of plastic card behind there, fit that behind there, and then paint it in the same wood colours as we're going to do with the floor pan, and that would look authentic and add a little bit of detail. Or you could just paint it all black and make it disappear. And I'm sort of thinking I'm going to go with the paint it black, but it's something to look out for. You don't want to be seeing plastic through there. Now it may be that once you've got everything in there, it'll be a bit more difficult to see, but I suspect you'll be able to look down the line of sight, even if it's at an angle, and see a bit of plastic. So even if you think you won't see it, it's probably worth just doing it just in case. So there you go. That's something that's occurred to me. Right. So what I'm going to do with the wood, if you saw my go-to build, you probably know what I'm going to do. If you didn't see my go-to build, if you go and have a look at the early videos, and I can't remember which parts they are, but it won't be the first part, because in the first part I think I used wood decals, which are awful. But probably part 2 or 3 or 4, I do a lot of wood graining, and I'm going to use the same method here. Now what I used was oil brushes and a bit of sponge. I'm probably going to do oil brushes and a coarse brush, like a stippling brush or something like that, in here, because I need a finer grain. It's a different scale. But I'm going to use oil brushes, and then we'll seal it with a varnish and what have you. So if you want to get ahead of this and you want to do the wood graining the way I do it, go and have a look at the go-to builds, because I'll be using exactly the same process. And a lot of people commented on how genuine the wood graining looked on that. So yeah, definitely worth visiting those first few videos. If you're not interested in the go-to, fine, but that's where I'm going to demonstrate my wood graining. Now, I will do it in this build video as well. So if you want to wait for the B-17 build video, you're welcome to. But if you want to get ahead, then that's what you need to do. So as I'm recording this, it is it's Good Friday today as I'm recording this, ready for Sunday, and I'm at that point where we'll get the glazing in the other side of the fuselage, and then we'll be getting the internals in. I'm not going to do any particular weathering on this. We have done it on the cockpit, but we've done a brown wash because it's going to be quite visible. This isn't going to be quite so visible. You ain't really going to see it through there, and you ain't really going to see it through there. So I'm not worrying about this too much. So if you do glimpse it, you'll be able to see what's in there, but I'm not worrying about washers and chipping and all that sort of stuff. It's just not necessary. So that's sort of where I am with that, because if you think about it, if I put these there like that, and that's there, you know, you've got a bulkhead just before the turret position. So all of this here is between there, and other than the top bulkhead, the top here letting a bit of light in, and that you ain't going to see much. So just quite happy for that to be painted in, block painted, and nothing more. So I've not painted in the dials and things like that in the end. It's partly it saves some time, and partly it's just a bit of a pointless exercise, really. So we've weathered that. We're not going to weather that. We've weathered the Bombay because you'll be able to look up and see into there, and we will weather the inside of that. So that's where I am currently. And then once I've got this lot into one half of the bulkhead, we'll take some photographs ready for the video, and then we can get the two fuselage halves together. So that's where I am. So I expect in the next update the fuselage halves will be together. We'll have installed our funny little ghost here, and got him in place. And I'm hoping I should have completed all of these steps down to 45 at least in the next update, which means that I'm then ready to start building turrets. Now, I am not going to glue the fuselage halves together. You see it being shown there. I'm not going to glue these fuselage halves together at this point, because I want to see how this turret fits in, and get my head around how I'm going to paint it. Am I going to paint it and mask it once it's installed, or can I install it or part install it afterwards? When you look at how this builds up, it may be that I can get that to marry up into that's already installed in place, or it may be that I can get that to marry into that and I'm not bothered about it turning. Don't know. So I want to have a play with that, and then after this step it's building up wings. So we don't need the fuselages fixed in place for building up the wings. So we can build up the wings and leave those as sub-assemblies. We can build up the engines and leave those as sub-assemblies, not installed, ready for painting. We can build up the landing gear and again leave them as sub-assemblies. But then when you get to this point here, we've got the tail piece going in. And I need to be sure in my mind that I'm installing that, or whether I can install it after I've painted the fuselage. Same with this gun mount here, and also this top gun mount. So that's why I don't want to close the fuselage up permanently until all of these fittings are done and I can see how they work with each other, and I can make a decision on painting. So I'm almost taking the build right to the end in sub-assembly form. So we can do things like putting these clear parts in and stuff like that. But what I want to understand is, how am I going to do these turrets? So my advice is, and my plan is, not to put the fuselage halves together until as late as possible, and understand how all this is going to work. So we can glue this into one side, we can close it together and make sure that we've dealt with any issues that are preventing the parts from closing, so that we don't have to do any filling. and then it's crack on with the rest of the build. So once I've got this little stage done, we'll be on building up the wings, building up the engines, building up the turrets and the landing gear, and leaving it all as sub-assemblies until as late as possible, so that I can decide what's the best way of painting and masking this. And that would be my advice to you, is to not close it up until you really, really have to. And then you can decide whether you're installing or not installing, what it means if you install your guns and turrets after you've closed the fuselage up, in terms of masking. What openings have you got? What problems is that causing you? So for me, there's no need to glue this together until you're ready to go, right, everything's built up and I want to paint. Then you can glue it together once you're clear in your mind what parts you want pre-installed and what you don't, and how you're going to mask it and so on. So it's quite a complex model for painting, actually, because of all the turrets. It's not like shoving a Spitfire together where you can build the whole thing up, put the canopy on and just mask it and paint it. You've got lots of turrets there that you're going to have to pre-paint the guns and things before the turrets are closed up, and then you've got to install them. So how are you going to mask that? How are you going to ensure that you don't gum things up with paint so they no longer rotate? All of those questions I think you need to answer before you put the two fuselage halves together. So that's where I am with that. So that's where I am. You now know. Where are you? I'd like in the comments for you to tell me where you're up to. Have you started? Are things going to plan? If you've got questions, you've got problems, anything like that, put them in the chat so people can see and people can help out. Let me know where you are with your build. There is over 50 people that have said that they are building a B-17 along in this group build. 50 people. So, there's loads and loads of comments I'm expecting from people to say, yeah, I'm up here. If you've not started, that's fine. We are, about 4 weeks away from the halfway point in this build. So when we get to the end of April, that's when we'll do be getting all the photographs in for the halfway point. And then you'll have just a couple of months left. So do you feel like you're going to get it done? Have you, particularly if you're building one of those larger 1/32 scale kits, are you going to have it done in the time scale? I'm not ratcheting up pressure yet because you've got 3 months left, but that time's going to disappear like that. Now, my build diaries, where am I? I estimate that I am 2 Fridays away. So next Friday's build will be the first of the Matchbox diorama, and then the following week will be the first B-17. So a week on Friday we will have the build of the B-17. It will go out at 9 p.m. Let's get that right, because I'll be in work at 9 a.m. It'll go out 9 p.m. and the reason why it's going out 9 p.m. is because it'll be a premiere, which means there will be live chat, and I'd love to see as many of you as possible in that chat. I have lots of regulars that watch the builds on a Friday and talk. It'd be really lovely to get loads of you in there talking with each other, watching how the video goes together. You can ask me questions and I can answer them there live and what have you. Now, I did say I'd do a live stream. I haven't worked out exactly what I'm going to do with that. I might do a live stream before and then we go into the build, or I might do, and this is more likely, the build and then immediately after go into a live stream. So I'm not quite sure. I will announce it separately nearer the time, but I announce all of this stuff in my Table Talk videos. So catch my Table Talk video next week, where I might have come up with a plan and be talking to you about the B-17. So yeah, that's when I formulated a plan of what's happening in the channel and what's coming up, it always goes into Table Talk. So it's worth catching that to make sure that you're up to date with anything that's changing and going on. But I will announce the live stream, the group build kickoff from my point of view in terms of the build as a live stream separately. So there we are. I can't wait to see your comments. I can't wait to see where you guys are up to. You now know where I am with my build, and it's going really well. I've got to say the Airfix kit is really, really lovely. And as long as you take your time with it and check what you're doing, you're going to end up with a lovely build. I just know it. So thanks for looking in. You enjoy your modelling, enjoy the group build. I'm enjoying it. Can't wait to see your comments, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye for now. Hi, and thanks for watching. You can support the channel by hitting the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you don't miss any content that I put out. Model Kit Stuff is a self-funded channel, and I don't do membership or Patreon or buy me a coffee. So if you'd like to further donate to the channel and ensure the cameras keep rolling and the content keeps coming, then you can consider making a donation through my PayPal. You'll find a link to that in the text below. You enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you soon.